They eat your food, creep around your house, and poop around the house. Rats, the most popular rodents in the world. In many parts of the world, these rodents are chased and exterminated. But would you believe it if I told you that rats have donned capes and transformed into superheroes, using their keen senses to sniff out landmines and tuberculosis in Tanzania? They go by many names like HeroRATs, but they are deservedly called the African pouch giant rats, especially when you think of the fact that they measure up to 3 feet long from nose to the tip of the tail and weighing up to 9 pounds. That is roughly the size of a house cat, making it one of the largest in the world. Befitting name, don't you think? Because with a size like that, they will scare the living jitters out of anyone. Their sense of vision isn't so great, but their sense of smell greatly compensates for that. They are even said to have a more powerful sense of smell than dogs, which is quite a feat because a dog's sense of smell too is quite remarkable. You may wonder what their sense of smell has to do with this. Here is how they are trained. These rats start their training at 4 weeks old, and in this phase, the trainer has to earn its trust by petting and feeding it. The training could take up to a year and have different stages. Trained by APOPO, these HeroRATs undergo about a year of intensive training, all the while being pampered with great care, diet, exercise, playtime, and vet visits. Here is a breakdown of their exciting journey to becoming super rats. At 4 weeks old, their eyes open and they start socialization training. They get used to being handled and exposed to everyday sounds and smells, becoming comfy with their surroundings and people. At 10 weeks, they are weaned and learn to associate a clicker sound with a tasty reward. They start by touching a TNT containing tea egg, hearing a click, and getting a treat. They then move on to learn how to distinguish scents. They master distinguishing between TNT positive and TNT negative tea eggs, only getting a reward for the TNT positive ones. Outdoors, they practice digging up buried tea eggs while wearing tiny harnesses. They then move to fields with deactivated landmines, scratching the surface to signal a find. They start with surface mines and gradually tackle deeper ones. At this stage, they are ready for action in the fields, but before heading to real minefields, they must pass a blind test, detecting all mines in a 400 square meter area with minimal errors. Success means they graduate as HeroRATs. These rats have been on peacekeeping missions to landmine ravaged areas such as Angola and Mozambique. With about 20,000 people dying from landmines yearly as of 2014, that is 55 persons per day and at least one person every 30 minutes. These rats are nothing but heroes. Mozambique used to have an estimated 2 million landmines. Typically, it would take a human with a metal detector about 1 day to clear 50 square meters of land, but a rat would do 200 square meters in an hour, which is a more effective method of harvesting these mines. Also, you may probably be wondering, what if these mines explodes and kill these expensive trained rats? Well, despite their size, these rats are very lightweight, weighing less than 5 kilograms, reducing the chances of detonating these landmines. And should they blow up, better rats than humans if you ask me. But how do they know when it's a landmine, you may be pondering? Just like in their training mentioned earlier where TNT is used, that is the same explosive material in landmines. They indicate a find by scratching the surface of where they smell this explosive material. Hold up, but that's not all they do. What if I told you these rats are trained to work in medical diagnostics labs too? These giant rats have been working in the health sector in Tanzania, where they have been used to sniff out what sputum is TB infected. But where they come in clutch is their speed. They cover about 100 sputa in 20 minutes. Tanzania is one of 30 countries with the highest burden of tuberculosis in the world. 142,000 people, that is 253 people per 100,000 population fell ill with TB in 2018, but only 75,828 people with TB were notified overall, leaving 47% of people still unreached by the national TB services. But then, the job is not all jolly and good tidings. There are challenges, itches, and even dangers that come with the job for the rats and their handlers. In as much as working in labs detecting tuberculosis from sputum, thereby improving the overall public health, is good work, the real danger, especially the humans working with them and the rats themselves, lies in the landmines fields. Due to the nature of the work they do, they are exposed to potential explosions and maybe death. Moving these rodents is also a challenge. Similarly, training and maintaining them can be quite daunting. Oh, and don't get me started on the stigma that comes with the profession of being a handler or a trainer. Rats are associated with filth, diseases, and everything negative in African culture, which could make it pretty difficult to gain public affection for the professionals working with them, despite the enormous selfless service they and their pets undertake. These are some of the challenges faced when handling these not so little creatures. Nonetheless, it is safe to say that these rejects of society have become superheroes in some countries. You know how they say one man's rat meat is another man's lifesaver? Yeah, that's what these rats have become in places like Tanzania, Angola, and Mozambique. These little heroes have saved lives by identifying and marking locations where mines are planted, helping to relieve plagued areas across the continent. They might not be doctors or not been to medical school, but these rodents work in the medical field, helping lab scientists to detect TB cases using their keen sense of smell. They identify TB in the sputum of patients. These rats have screened over 500,000 samples and identified more than 20,000 TB patients. Saving lives is no easy job, nor is it a day's job, but these rodents do it in 20 minutes to 1 hour, and are cost-effective at that with little to no casualty. Their exploits in Tanzania, Mozambique, and several other missions under their belt have become a model for other countries with similar struggles to adopt. These superhero rats are expanding their global use in humanitarian efforts. If you found what you just watched informative and entertaining, please do not forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe. And on that note, I'll be catching you on the next one. Cheers, guys.